Ladies and gents, and this is Terraria 2D RPG, pixel art perfection, a structure analysis by the channel UberDanger. Yes, UberDanger. People have been telling me to react to this channel for a good enough time, and I guess even Sets in Tech recommends this channel or something. So yeah, a structure analysis and a full completion of Terraria, one of my favorite games. Okay, the game is from 2011. Yeah, so if this channel is anything like Sets in Tech, if I'm probably pretty sure somebody commented that this video, which is kind of one of the newer ones, just I guess a year or two ago, is kind of like Seth style video, right? And a pixelated game, so it kind of feels similar. Sure, why not? Yeah, whenever I see pixelated games and somebody likes Seth, it's like, yeah, this is gonna be good. So let's watch it. Remember, we'll reflect my reaction. Don't forget to subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more. Check out the reaction, there's a link in the description. Check out the cards in here. The fuck?
Okay, so that's fucked up. Terraria is a game that, much like myself, is incredibly autistic, but...
What the? That was just out of the blue. Something just... okay, so this is gonna be some difficult boss fight type of game?
unlike me, is entirely on the fun side of the spectrum. It's essentially 2D pixel art Minecraft with actual content, good content. In fact, it might objectively be one of the best games of all time.
I love the
it might
background.
Split your friend group apart 50 hours into a server because there's only one crimson chest and the ranged player in your group snatched up the vampire knives. Over a 5-day period, I dumped 60 hours on it. Things got so bad, I underwent a sustained decrease in chemical happiness.
12 hours a day at least? The fuck? I mean, I don't remember when I was a kid, I used to spend that much time playing games, but alright.
Cross time, also clinically referred to as I'm fucking depressed. When I was playing this game, every synapse in my brain was lit, every neuron was fired up. This is a game where solipsism thrives to the point of devolving into extreme egocentrism. You will lose friendships over this game. You might even lose yourself. Say you started a world with your friends, and one particular individual was to use a stack underflow to generate 999 pink dyes and bring in questionable amounts of honey from allegedly another world, so he could be unique and different with his little gay otherworldly honey house. It would be entirely appropriate if every other person on the server banded together and psychopathically enforced their own all-encompassing life philosophies. Immediately started clearing the bosses without Honey Boy and rigged his house with TNT, a pressure plate, and wiring to a sign that'll send him a server message saying no cheating. Then waited patiently for hours until the unsuspecting victim logged on to start clearing the first boss with his friends, joyfully entering his striking honey estate that he'd spent several hours of his life building.
Everybody's
thanking
really
him. Once you find a hive, you destroy the whole hive, and you have the honey thing.
Interesting.
What just happened?
But why? I spent so long building that.
With
were
fake
betrayed.
honey from a different world. This is an intervention. You laugh. Rip! Rip! Oh, dude! Alright, it is what it is. When I say this is the best damn game of all time, I'm not giving you my fucking opinion.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's I feel bad for the guy, because if he spent way too much time building that, they just did that. I get it, it's funny, it's fun, it's Indian games, but that even for the short time, that would fucking hurt.
I mean, on a technical level, just objectively, it's up there. But I know you're a busy man. You don't have 100 hours to dump on 2D Minecraft, and I certainly haven't sold it yet. So instead of beating around the bush, I'd rather take you on a journey, along with my best attempt at a structural analysis of Terraria. I'll present my experience of completing the game chronologically, which starts at the character selection screen. I clicked random until fate dealt me the hand I wanted, after which I named my guy Cowman Oren Ricardo, an anagram of the phrase Moroccan warrior DNA, a vague reference to my African heritage, although I was a bit taken aback the first time I took damage. Unbeknownst to yours truly, I was a woman. I felt it absolutely heretical to play a girl named Ricardo. But it's 2020 and about time I stopped being so goddamn close-minded. We start our journey with one of the core elements of gameplay. Communal housing. You see, to build a strong community, first you need a position of power, which will in turn allow you to induce codependency in form of exchanging shelter and coin for goods and services. When you build a house, eventually an NPC will move in there, and they're integral to progressing through the game. We build a functional house by having an enclosed space with a back wall, table, chair, door, and a source of light. Zombies will open the door and kill us, which is why we need stronger borders between us and them. Once we
Zombies will open doors? Really? So how are the fucking zombies? Zombies are supposed to be out of it. How are they supposed to know that if I turn this, it will open?
realized our vulnerabilities, we migrated our base of operation, carved out the inside of this tree, and started meticulously constructing a fucking testament to the incredibly satisfying nature of building a house in this game.
A literal tree house? Alright. I'm loving this game already. Okay, so you can build left and right without worrying about where you're building.
Now this is where you can go mining underground and explore caves in search of better ore to make armor and weapons out of. Chests, which can contain potions, weapons, and a multitude of other useful tools. We also need them to store shit, and the certain death that awaits you. That is a legitimate way to play the game, but it is not an effective way to play the game. A meticulous Terraria player would know to save the mining for later, cause we'll be doing a lot of it, and instead go effortlessly chop down some cacti, which we craft into cactus armor, then travel to the edge of the map and interact with a sleeping fisherman. We complete his quest, which will allow the angler NPC to move into our village. You now have the meta NPC. Once a day you complete a quest for him, and in exchange he'll provide us with fishing gear and fishing potions, which we hold on to while yet again making our way to the edge of the world.
I don't know why I'm surprised. I was just like, oh look at it, it has an RPG element. It says in the fucking title, Terraria 2D RPG. Alright, holy shit, so this game has this kind of open world feel to it, or open world basically, where you can build shit, fight bosses, do this RPG elements like quest and shit, you know, build an armor out of a cactus. I mean, use the real world things, you know, basically, you know, for your any purpose, like making armors and shit, you know, carve out a tree and make a tree house. This is so good.
Which is quite a trek. This game is utterly massive. I'm a bit overwhelmed, and this is only a medium-sized world. A world that is inherently rather unforgiving. Seeing as we are real gamers, we're playing on expert mode. You see, the quantity and quality of drops scale linearly with said unforgiving difficulty. It really is the only way to play the game, because it incentivizes you to play by the meta. And fishing in the ocean.
Basically, that's the case with Borderlands 2, right? If I remember correctly. That the more harder difficulties, the more better the loot's going to be. So there's an incentive. It's not like, okay, most games are like, okay, which level are you? How much psychotically games you play, right? If you're too much of a gamer, like you play 8 hours a day for fucking past 10-15 years, definitely touch the last difficulty or something like that, like hardest, you know, deadly difficulties. Or maybe, you know, just go with normal if you're just a normal gamer. That's just to suit you. Then I guess after Borderlands or something, they just started to reward people. Like, okay, I just spent hours and hours just playing games. I'm playing on hard, but I'm not getting much reward out of that. It's just like just to suit people. Like an average gamer can play just as good as me, right? And get the same reward. Like, what's the point of me being this good? So Borderlands started to doing that shit. Like the more harder the difficulty is, the more better rewards you get.
Is by far the most overpowered early game strategy. It yields the Sawtooth Shark, which is a fucking chainsaw, the Shark Reaver, which is the best pre-hard mode pickaxe, so that's the next 15 hours of gameplay. It beats 14 different tiers of mining that we could have grinded like complacent little simps, but to be honest, I'd rather settle for the fastest mining speed and the best stats. Speaking of stats, we also fish
Cactus
until
armor
we
and
get
chainsaw?
the mini shark, an automatic assault rifle, along with enough loot crates to do an unboxing video. Then we excavate the area beneath our treehouse and begin an exploration of the underlying caves. We scavenge them for materials which we use to construct essential crafting stations, such as a furnace, an anvil, the tinkerer's workbench, and the end statue, which I had to remove about 20 times throughout the playthrough, as I was uncomfortable with letting my friends finish whatever they were typing. And on a completely different note, Terraria allows for 5 different trinkets to be equipped. The further you progress, the more mobility and effects you get to stack, and it's incredibly satisfying. Currently, I can
is an
double jump
RPG.
with a cloud in a bottle and sprint with the sailfish boots. I'm also rocking a golden armor set and, dare I say, terrifying weaponry. We also got grapple hooks, which is objectively a great thing in every video game they've ever been in. Objectively. Did I say objectively? When the night of the blood moon came to terrorize our village, we desecrated everything.
It was a great features in any game. He's right. People bitched about it in Dying Light, but I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I don't care. I love the grappling. It just makes me feel like a god.
With streamlined efficiency, we weren't just prepared, we were absolutely fucking qualified. And it was at this point I realized that in Terraria, a little fishing goes a long way. After the blood moon, we waited till the next
that's an
dawn
eye?
of night and summoned the first boss, the Eye of Cthulhu. Now, I did play this game 9 years ago, and no one felt it necessary to inform me that expert mode adds new attack patterns to some of the bosses. My friends believed it appropriate that I discover these things the fun way, the way the game developers intended.
Bye.
And that's only the first boss in the easiest section of the game. So we yet again went back to the meta, which in this case meant build.
Yeah, see, there you go. Not just rewards, even the boss attacks are different. That is just incredible. I like how developers did that shit, not just scale up the damage or something like that. This is good. I like how people used to argue that playing games would basically make people stupid, right? It's just like they just imagine people just playing Mario or something. But games like this, where you have to remember the boss patterns while you're fighting the boss, like you have to actually remember every single moves before you can beat one boss. I mean, your mind gets stressed and fucked, right? I mean, if anything, there was some study like people play games like this where you have to remember lots of things, their brain actually improves.
Building an arena so we could dodge his wacko mode. After a few rounds of trial and error, we take down the Eye, which grants us Crimtane Ore and the Shield of Cthulhu. We can now dash. This is massive, with increased mobility, newfound courage, and a fair total sum of carnal willpower. We went on an expedition to the jungle biome. It was exciting to explore this whole area and find 15 different golden chests that Josh had already looted playing by himself at 4 a.m. You'll come to find that Josh's antisocial personality disorder would throughout our playthrough evolve from a mild nuisance to a metaphorical social hand grenade. And that's one of the things I love about this game. It will bring out the worst in you and pit it against the worst in others. If Josh's items were to mysteriously disappear out of his chests while he's at work, it sure looks to me like he should have used a safe instead of communally available socialite storage. But I digress. It was time to change
I thought he was gonna say if Josh's character disappeared. And I love this. I love this game basically, makes you play with this kind of different people, your friends basically. And everybody has the same loot. So one guy can just loot fucking everything and nobody has shit left, right? So it creates this kind of social dilemma that you have to also, make up for. So like he said, there could be internal struggles. I guess he did say in the start of the video, right? Lots of friendship are gonna lose or something. Because this is just good, man. I like how the background looks, man. I don't know, there's not much of texture detail there, but just something, I guess, is the shades of lightning, but overall it just looks incredible backgrounds.
Circumstances entirely, and surpass the peasantry of being limited by gravity. We combine bottled water, fire blossom, deathweed, blinkroot, and feathers to create gravitation potions, which when consumed will invert gravity. We soar to the skies to explore the Sky Islands.
1, go. Oh, found one.
Up here, you'll find stacked sky chests, regularly spawning wyverns, and a comprehensive introduction on the self-regulating effects of terminal velocity. That's all the side content, and it's definitely there. But the real reason I came here is to fish in the Sky Lake. Not for any particular...
This is fucking ridiculous. I mean, talking about multi-level shit. I mean, create a, anti-gravity potion. And holy shit, there's a whole thing up there where you can fight different dragon type bosses. There is a sky lake. If you dig in, there's caves basically, and there are things, there are bosses there too. Like everywhere you can find something. Like use your mind where you want to go, and you'll find something somewhere. This is really good. This gives from 10 to 11. Damn.
Oh, I just came here for the atmosphere. After our bizarre sky trip, I rinsed the herb farm and Henny's chests for Daybloom, Moonglow, Blinkroot, Waterleaf, Deathweed, Shiverthorn, and Fireblossom, which I combined to make a gender change potion. I simply didn't feel like my outward flesh reflected my inside emotions. I may look like a girl, but I feel like a man. Unfortunately, I accidentally dropped the potion and I ran off with my gender. After a couple minutes of chasing my manlyhood, I finally reclaimed it, downed the Bruce juice, and replaced Ricardo's gender dysphoria with the self-realization of a warrior. And you might be thinking to yourself, alright, you built a treehouse, caught a pickaxe and an assault rifle, fought a demon eye, inverted gravity to fish in a sky lake, and changed your gender. Where can you really go from here? And the answer is down. It was time to dig the Hellevator. Partly because we want to go to hell, but mainly because it's the most oddly satisfying digging process you'll ever go through.
There's a hell level? Look at that, you can go to sky, you can also go to hell. God damn. Is the water leaking out?
This gameplay.
Now I really wanted to take a creative risk, dump the whole 4-minute clip and let the Gerudo Valley remix bang out. But when you really get down to brass tacks, the reason I couldn't is because I'm too mentally disparaged to set up a virtual audio cable. And all my friends
Oh my god, it takes that long to dig out a elevator. I guess the developers just imagine that, so people are just gonna go level by level. Every time they dig, they're gonna find these areas, explore those areas, loot that area, and it's gonna become a massive journey before you even reach the hellscape or whatever it is, right? So before you reach the hell area, you'd feel like a massive journey, like you went through a lot of shit, looted a lot of shit with all the caves and things, but they just went for it.
on the same audio track as the game. Another stern consequence of my mental state is that we dug this thing incorrectly, contributing to the ever-increasing kill count of terminal velocity. Luckily, I'm playing with people who actually know what they're doing that could rectify my poor construction skills. We finished the elevator, but we weren't quite ready for hell yet. First, we had to travel to a crimson biome and fight the Brain of Cthulhu, a boss who creates illusions that are so easy to see through, even an 8-year-old would scoff at the lack of difficulty. Looking back at the footage, the fake brains fooled me every single time, and I failed to see through the trickery even once. Shortly after, we completed Terraria's ode to British sesh culture. You know, devastating the central nervous system. A meteorite landed, and let me tell you, that is absolutely smashing. Meteorite is the most powerful ore we have access to at this stage of progression. If you stand directly on top of it, it will sear your flesh to the point of death. To avoid a situation where we all stopped being friends, we split it equally and let each individual decide what they wanted to craft. I looked at the wiki for less than 10 seconds before I knew I wanted the space gun. Then we had an absolute surge of overconfidence and built an arena outside the dungeon. We also erected a little house with a bed so we could set our spawns next to the fight. The Skeletron fight, that is. A battle we were not prepared for. A battle which will result in a long therapeutic process many years down the line once I'm done repressing it. This is yet another situation which draws a direct parallel to British sesh culture. We needed gear gear, much more gear, which came in the form of a second meteorite. By the way, farming meteorite in Terraria reminds me of the now 8-year-old Tobuscus Let's Plays that I used to bang out on the daily.
Hello!
Yeah, alright. First of all, this game has all the elements of RPG, right? Like, building shit, scavenging things, going to places, right? You just think of where you want to go. Go to sky, go underground, basically track land and go wherever, basically. Do quests, go fishing. And at the same time, it has these monsters, basically. This boss fight that feels like, monsters from some kid cartoon, right? With the skeletons, the fucking eye and everything. I don't know, that just creates this kind of unique feel to it. It's incredible.
Once again, audience. I was actually gonna go get some more wood. Get some more wood. I don't get it. But I was gonna, hey, you wanna die while I'm harvesting? That's fine, just go, just die, just kill yourself. That's a good idea. Oh, everybody just kill yourselves.
Man, 2012 YouTube gaming was something else. Anyways, with my newfound meteorite riches, I craft a full meteorite armor set, which reduces the mana cost of my space gun to 0. We take on Skeletron once more, and it dawns on us that our equipment was only part of the problem. As it turns out, the other half of our predicament was that we suck shit. But only losers stay on the ground. Real gamers rise up and take it on the chin. With a handful of attempts, we finally eradicate Mr. Bones, which grants us access to the dungeon. The pacing of Terraria's difficulty is fucking astonishing. You play to a point where you almost feel overpowered, and then as soon as you reach the next stage, it's back to primal carnage. You'll have to overcome incredibly harsh adversity, and if you do, you're rewarded with an adversely harsh power spike. My absolute favorite part of progressing is getting to see which items Josh left behind for the people that can actually feel empathy. After a moderate amount of deaths, I am now plowing through the dungeon with the Book of Skulls and the Magic Missile, which along with my space gun led me to spec into Magic, one of the 4 class setups, along with melee, ranged, and summoning. I find it incredibly cool that you can go for a certain class for a couple stages of progression and then change it with some of the future weapons, equipment, and armor you gain access to. You might even change it entirely based on one incredible item you get a hold of, and you can even combine the classes later down the line. This is fantastic game design, and I wish more games gave you that freedom. Furthermore, Terraria really is all about freedom of choice. Let's say, hypothetically, 2 of the 4 players exploring the dungeon got a hold of a shadow key, something which would allow us to open any shadow chest in the underworld. Those 2 players would now have a choice to make. Do we go on a hellish expedition with our friends and share all the loot fairly, or do Josh and I do what anyone would have done given our circumstances? That was a rhetorical question. We, of course, rinsed hell for every single shadow chest. I did the entire right side of the underworld, whereas Josh took the entire left side. You gotta look out for number 1. And the risk of social detriment is far outweighed.
So he's doing the same shit his friend did before. Stay out the shadow key. Fuck it. Fuck everybody else. Let's just loot everything for ourselves.
Made by the rewards. From Flamelash to Meteorite Bars to the Hellwing Bow and Cold Hard Cash. This shit is absolutely poppin', and I don't regret our choices in the slightest. By the way, the underworld is one of my favorite visual aesthetics in the game. The backdrop is insane. You can screen cap any frame down here, and it's literal pixel art. I also love the dynamic of how you survive. With the current equipment, you literally go building to building, narrowly escaping hellbats that do an unreasonable amount of damage, scavenging for health potions, just clinging on to dear life. Unlike most games, in Terraria, you're heavily rewarded for breaking all the small destructibles. God damn it, this game is fucking well made. After rinsing the shadow chests, we dug out a Hellforge which we'd need in the future and made our way back to the surface. Involuntarily. Now, you've seen a lot of fighting, you've seen a lot of mining, but you've only seen a minor amount of building. One of the best parts of Terraria, considering that Josh literally has a manor, Henny's got her castle, and Barty has a floating honey house. For now. It's rather lackluster that my house is essentially a treehouse dorm shared with 2 other blokes. To rectify the situation, I started building my home. First, I laid out minecart tracks from the communal treehouse, measured the distance, and started constructing my sky house. I use a bottom layer of ice so that my home will eventually be a frost biome, and because the ice taps are visually pleasing. I destroy one of the sky islands to make a cloud back wall, and I'm already tired of explaining this shit to you, so use your eyes to visually perceive what's happening and enjoy one of the grooviest video game soundtracks of all time.
Oh my god, so you basically can just fucking find things like, from the sky, cloud areas, he just took cloud things, so he can put that as a wall, right? So you just scavenge shit on the game and basically use that to construct anything. This is so good. It's not like you find resources and there is just certain type of things that you create. No. Whatever you find, you can literally put that as whatever decoration or anything, like walls and shit. How long is it, damn?
Yo, what's popping? It's your boy, Cowman Oren Ricardo, and welcome to my crib. Let me show you around. This is my favorite part of the house, the roof. This is where the magic happens. It'll send you flying through the air on Mr. Ricardo's wild ride, which loops around and
It sounds like a psychotic guy who has this kind of a weird, like, how Michael Jackson or Wonderland or whatever that weird, contraption type of place. Is it ridiculous? You see that roof? That's my, pathway to the next contraption.
and takes you right back to the Ice Annex, my crib's very own little frost biome. And if you actually traverse through it without too much rigor mortis, the wild ride continues. You'll go directly from soaring the skies to the Underground Express, officially the most convoluted, least streamlined way of accessing the elevator. Now what was that, like access. 40 seconds? I'll have you know, building it took many hours of my life. But they were hours well spent. Considering I have 162 hours on Hearthstone Battlegrounds, at least building a house in Terraria is a worthy way to spend my time. My sky house is stacked.
He's like some country who basically, takes control of a certain route in some sea, right? Basically take the whole fucking thing and this is my route now, like strategic points. He's like, he created a whole house and created this kind of contraption that directly access the hell.
With a dozen chests that are all entirely unorganized and filled with random shit I've just stashed in there. I also have my very own party girl living in the dungeon, and if I'd built the living room just a little differently, it would have spelled weed. But I'm not immature, so why would I do that? Building in Terraria is extremely fun, and the further you get, the more materials you'll have access to. Placing blocks is like a tiny little dopamine button. The stellar sound design and pixel art visuals constitute an incredibly engaging creative aspect, which is a breath of fresh air and a very welcome change of pace from progressing through the content. Speaking of which, we once more went back to the jungle biome and rattled the hornet's nest to fight the queen bee, the second last boss before the training wheels come off. Believe it or not, we're in the introductionary easy section of the game. Oh no.
That's easy.
I'm dead.
Okay, let me go top.
That's all you, Henry.
What's
There you go.
Try wild, man. You're supposed to. So basically, any games like this you play, first time you're supposed to die. That's the game's thing. Because otherwise, you can't really know where the boss moves are gonna happen, right? You can only get lucky. Like suddenly they just pop by and just ran past you. Like how are you supposed to know that? And that's so fast. Even the eye thing was doing that. Cthulhu's eye or whatever. Like how are you supposed to remember that? You have to die multiple times just to remember that. So game wants you to die at the start. That's the case, I guess.
In a team effort, together we built an arena.
What? Oh, this is some next level shit. Oh, that's some next level shit.
There's a loot box over there.
What?
With the proper preparation, it was almost anticlimactically easy. Too easy. So we decided to not.
Oh my god, you can use your constructive skills to battle a boss. That is some next level shit, man. That is the using your constructive element, right? All the different construction element, basically using it together with your team to defeat a boss. It's like, you know, one of those movies where they do war preparation. It's something like that. Let's do the war preparation, build all this shit before some boss comes.
Not prepare in the slightest when going to take on the hardest and final boss for this section of the game. To do so, you must travel to the underworld and find a demon carrying a guide voodoo doll. Kill the demon and drop the doll in the lava. This kills the guide in great agony and summons the wall of flesh, a giant, demonic
That's the last
flesh
boss?
wall, which instinctively assumes that you're hurting for a squirtin'. You will meet your demise.
I thought it would be something like Cthulhu or something. It's a Cthulhu's eye, so why not fuck it, gigantic Cthulhu? Or something like that. But then again, why would Cthulhu be in the hell, right? Isn't Cthulhu in some different dimensions? I don't know. But they could have used something like that. It's this wall of flesh. Huh?
If you let it shoot you, you will succumb to homicidal cannibalism if you let it eat you. And Lord knows we're not gonna elaborate on what happens if you're unfortunate enough to let it touch you. If there's one thing that became crystal
Gigantic.
clear, it's that hell was in distinct need of a hell bridge. Something you can't build single-handedly. You need one construction worker and a bodyguard. Barney was spec'd as a summoner, and seeing as he'd emotionally extorted us for the bee grenades and other bee gear you get from the bee boss, he was admittedly perfectly suited for the job. In about an hour's time, we erected a beautiful hell bridge, then went exploring underground since we were already
Like, just visualize in my head, it's like, you know, 2 or 3 warriors just making sure that all the different enemies stay back while you construct your shit.
on the far right side of the map, where we discovered the location of the Aztec temple, went mining with spelunker potions, and rekindled our arachnophobia in the spider biome. I then encountered a nymph. Every other NPC we've ran into has been a tremendous help, so I
Okay.
naturally interact with her. The nymph goes on to beat me unconscious and steal all my money. Not the first time a woman steps all over me,
Oh,
and
God.
most certainly not the last. You know what they say, crazy in the head, crazy in the bed. Satisfied with our expedition, we put the conquest
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the best time. Okay. Yeah, I have to go right now. This is already 30 minutes. I guess I'm going to make 2 parts. I'm going to continue this tomorrow. It's a 50-minute long video. And what a way to end, I guess. Even he was cracking up while making that joke. Alright, seriously, this game, after Season Tech, I'll start to find more and more appreciation to games, pixelated games like this. Terraria, 2D RPG, pixel art perfection. It is so good, man. All the different things you can do. So apparently you don't have to worry about great texture, great graphics. Then you can really put your effort into making great game mechanics and great game elements. That's the thing. Because all the games like this are ridiculously good. All the Rimworld, Space Station 13 has way too much features in it, way too much things to do. This is kind of similar to that. All the things you can do, and best thing about that, you use things that is just there, right? You can take shit from somewhere and literally apply it in your settlement. You can just build things anywhere. Go to hell. Oh, look at that. It's hard. Fuck it. Let's build a hell bridge there. How are you going to do that? There are lots of hell spawns walking around. Yeah, just have 2-3 bodyguards, your friends or something. So best way to play this game is with your friends. Is that it? This is so good.
put the conquest to rest whilst biding our time and gathering our strength. The day afterwards, we had a couple people online. We took on the Wall of Flesh once more. And to be honest, the Hell Bridge is really the definitive way to play this boss. I mean, I really don't know why we didn't do this from the beginning. The Wall of Flesh goes from rip and tear to sit and stare.
Oh shit.
Although I'll admit, when we ran out of bridge and Henny was burnt alive, I was a little shaken up, but I know that comes with the territory. You might have to burn a gamer girl or two if you want to get that gamer bread. And the bread you can potentially scavenge from the Wall of Flesh treasure bag is not your standard pure carbs and sodium white rye. Not your malnutritious French baguette. No, we're talking sprouted, whole grain sourdough. These are your chickpea flatbreads, your Ezekiel bread,
Yeah,
the
alright.
cream of the crop, the creme de la creme. We're talking absolutely based gamer bread here, folks. In my case, that meant a slow laser rifle, which I didn't use for several hours, seeing as it was slow. Turns out that was just a stat stats it got, which can be re-rolled, and it's 3 times as powerful as my space gun. You live, you learn, I guess. I also got the Sorcerer's Emblem, which is perfect for a magic wielder, and the Demon Heart, which when consumed grants an extra trinket slot. And with all these things, I'm completely powerless. Because as soon as you beat the Wall of Flesh, the entire world changes as you enter hard mode. In our case, expert hard mode. This is what separates the boys from the men. Our entire world permanently converted and revamped with new challenges and content to explore. We got the Crimson Biome rapidly spreading and corrupting our holy lands. And on the flip side, the Hallowed Biome, where unicorns and elves will rip out our entrails. New ore, mobs, invasions, crafting stations, new crafting options, new bosses, better bosses, more class specialization, cursed events, new NPCs, and way more items. Furthermore, nearly every aspect of the game has been revamped, adding extensive replayability. But we'll get to that in just a second. First, we do the...
So it's not really replayability, it's like the world continues. Like, you know, things starts to get corrupted, things changes here, there's more crafting ingredients now. It's just like, it's not just like new game plus type of shit where you do things all over again. It's like, first of all, the stage is set in a way like you're living in this world, scavenge, hunt, you know, fish. I guess you can easily change this a bit here and there to make it feel like, okay, this is not really new game plus type of thing. It's like game continues. That's such an interesting thing to do. You know, most developers don't do that. First of all, the hard difficulty, how bosses changes their fighting style, that alone is great. But also adding all these different things.
The most important thing, kill wyverns in the sky until we have enough souls of flight to craft harpy wings. Fucking listen to me. Limited flight, gliding, no more fall damage, an extra trinket slot from the now redundant double jump. Terraria's been rolling ever since house music was called techno. But this is where it starts peaking. We go to the Crimson Biome to smash a Crimson Altar with the Pwn Hammer. This is the first point where we begin to grow accustomed to the steep incline in difficulty. We're forced to actually learn attack patterns, die to utter nonsense, try to adapt, rinse and repeat.
Funny game where enemies can come through the wall.
Man, that was good timing. That was good timing.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing from funny. It's so funny.
And continue to get eviscerated anyways, because they're too plentiful and they're too powerful. Eventually I managed to break through and smash a Crimson Altar, which releases new types of ore in the world. In our case, cobalt, orichalcum, and titanium. These are essential if we are to have any chance at facing the trials and tribulations that lay ahead. So I mine like my life depends on it, which it absolutely does, until I can craft a cobalt drill. Then I scavenge for orichalcum ore, which I'll need for the pickaxe that can farm titanium. And in the midst of mining my own business, the Destroyer awakens. That's a terrible turn of fate. Awful situation to be in. It'll hunt us all down, massacre every single NPC, and spawn kill us for a good 5 minutes. After the Destroyer despawns, we get to breathe for literally 13
Wait a minute, so there's a thing called destroyers who attacks you no matter where you are, you're just supposed to weather the storm. Is that, oh god, this is so good. You're supposed to go, oh shit, I'm in my home, but it doesn't matter because the destroyer is awakened.
seconds before the pirate invasion hits. At this point, you can really start to feel hard mode. It's settling in quite nicely. You know, with some games, you turn up the difficulty, and it's like, alright, I think I can feel the difference. Terraria's not one of those games. From the invasion, I managed to salvage the Keen Pirate Staff. It lets me summon a little pirate who has twice as much DPS as my best weapon. He can't take damage, doesn't despawn, and single-handedly probably tripled my character's effectiveness. And that's what it feels like every time this game's difficulty spikes. The content and pacing thereof is fucking perfect. So I farm serotonin crystals and kill enemies in the...
Is this guy on drug or what? Because I don't know. He might be really good at acting or something, but I think, you know, that he really likes this shit, right? Every time he slams his table like, oh, this is some good shit. And I like that how, you know, hard mode gets harder, but you also get things that makes your even damage harder. See, things gets harder, it's fine, right? If you also get rewarded with something that gives you an edge, that would be more fun. This does that, I guess.
underground hallow for souls of light. I then go to a bookcase and combine these with a tome to make Crystal Storm. This spell tome is to a magic spec pre-mechanical boss Terraria player what Halo Top low-calorie ice cream is to fat people. It's a well-known fact that much like in the game, people who consume low-calorie ice cream on a daily basis actually lose all their mana, which results in skin complexions and victim mentalities. Although sometimes it's alright to feel sorry for yourself. For example, if you're fighting the mechanical bosses, it's not a mentality. You are the victim. The Eye of Cthulhu is now railed to the bone and jacked as can be. One eye with a laser cannon and another spewing wildfire. Both alternate between these modes and a charging melee attack. And just when you think you have a chance of winning, you acquaint yourself with the Enrage mechanic. Safe to say, we didn't beat it on our first try, but I'm just gonna cut to when we did, cause this video was already way too long. With 15 Souls of Light, I craft the Key of Light, which I chuck in a chest, turning it into a hallowed mimic. We bum rush the bad boy, and with some luck I actually managed to get a Daedalus Stormbow on my first attempt. This item is what led me to ever so slowly move away from being magic spec'd. With my new weapon, I wanted an adequately difficult challenge. When fighting Skeletron Prime, I realized I'd bitten off much more than I could chew. But beggars can't be choosers. I suck it up and engage in the only reasonable course of action. Repress the experience, deny that it's hurting me, and leave this for my future therapist to deal with. Cause truth be told, when you go through an agonizing, traumatic experience, it might be best to act like it never happened, and instead of facing objective reality, reject a repetitive, stagnant life within the confines of normality. I don't know what that means. I don't know if I'm projecting, but I've spent way too long on this fucking video. Next boss.
Oh god, see this something about this skeleton boys, like, oh god, there's something. Obviously all the things he said about repressing, I'm sure that's not real. But I guess kind of see that, like, you know, somebody who has something like OCD or something doesn't know he has OCD will have, you know, less chances developing the OCD. When you realize that you have OCD, you know, your OCD-ness goes up because now you know and you accept that you have OCD, right? You have to accept it eventually, otherwise it hurts you in a long time, but still.
Ah, the destroyer. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll go through the motions. It can kill you in 1 or 2 hits, shoots lasers out of each segment, which when damaged will detach, leaving you with laser drones chasing you down. On expert mode, we're looking at 315,000 health, and if we don't beat it within a few minutes, it's daytime and the boss despawns. Now there is some lame way you can cheese pretty much every single boss in the game, but because we are real gamers, we want the challenge. We welcome the suffering. And we embrace the post-traumatic stress disorder. Defeating the mechanical bosses grants us hallowed bars and various tormented souls, which I use to make the pickaxe axe, the necessary item to take it to the next level. I use it to mine chlorophyte ore, and I opt to fully spec into melee with the mask. I then combine hallowed bars and souls of light and might to craft light discs, 5 of them to be exact, because that's how many I can throw out. This weapon is definitely pretty good at dealing damage, but it's unprecedented at making noise. And I would go on to craft much greater weapons. But before we continue, allow me to, in a biased manner...
What you doing there, Billy? Mom, I wanna buy a 7.2 system basically. With 2 massive subwoofers. Why? Because I wanna play Terraria and hear that weapon sound.
blindly praise the game design a bit more, because I think progressing in early hard mode is a clear-cut case of outstanding, non-linear, well-implemented replayability. You can progress in pretty much any aspect of the game, whether we go to the dungeon, the underworld, fishing, building, mining, every aspect of the game can directly contribute to completing Terraria. Even if Josh is an antisocial weirdo who just wants to spend hours fishing by himself, he's still getting us that gamer dough. Barney is, and these are his words, not mine, our gay interior designer, and I intend to speak with reverence when I say I don't always agree with his feng shui. But the mere fact that he didn't give a shit about farming, mining, or most of the bosses, but rather spent 10 hours of his life building a teleporter station in fucking space, meticulously designed for streamlined access to all the key travel points in our world, actually provided us with technological infrastructure that would carry us through the late game. Hai is an absolute metagamer who's played through the game several times, always scheming up some new optimal arena or preparing all the materials we need for the next big boss fight, or ensure
I like that when everybody has their own places. Everybody does some ridiculous shit that requires way too much effort, but that benefits everyone.
ensuring that he gets the crimson chest. I'm not mad. I'm not angry. And then there's me and Henny, who aimlessly browse the Terraria wiki to see what items we can get next, whilst randomly progressing wherever we happen to go in the world. Now the beautiful thing is that all of these are valid ways of plowing through the game. And just when you thought I was done praising Terraria's game design, I do the unexpected and keep sporadically praising it for the rest of the video. You may have noticed that I'd at this point discovered the dye tab. Not just is there a cosmetic slot for every piece of equipment, you can also acquire various dyes and pretty much customize your character to wherever on the spectrum you may find yourself. The bosses in the game are also a spectrum. On one end, you got the Slime King. Very slow. Easy to kill, very slow. Easy attack patterns, simple movement, killed with ease, very slow. Easy to kill, killed with ease. And on the other side of
He's
said
deteriorating.
spectrum, you have Plantera, the hardest fucking boss in the game. If earlier bosses was cause for distress and constitute a need for therapy, then Plantera is the shit you never tell your therapist about. Both because you don't want to be chucked in the loony bin, and because it's an experience that can't be repressed, as it breaks you to the point of ego dissolution within the first minute. By the way, I'm the tank with full turtle armor. That means every boss primarily targets me. That is for a whopping 9 seconds, after which I succumb to fatal disintegration. When I spawn, it's a race to get back down, because if all 4 players are out of aggro range simultaneously, Plantera despawns.
There's a tortoise!
I wasn't ready for the gamer turtle. Plantera has this attack where he flies 3 times as fast as the player and one-shots you. When he's not doing that, it's a lethal organic bullet hell. As they say in Danish, statskontrolleret økologisk. But much like heavily upmarked Scandinavian produce, just because it's natural, nutritious, and organic doesn't mean I want it anywhere near my body.
Alright, this, first of all, this whole boss, I guess this thing's hurt too, and you know, this thing is just literally chasing you. Like, it doesn't have some movement that you have to, you know, predict, like some kind of pattern or something. It literally chases you at higher speed than you can escape, and just makes sharp turns just to chase you. That's way too OP, man. How are you supposed to escape that?
I told me that I should implement the Slime Mount's fast fall to dodge, and the Terraria wiki told me the flamethrower would be an effective weapon. I quickly came to find that I was dealing with a malicious website and a controlled operative, both peddling deception.
Big range, sticky.
Oh, we did it!
Defeating Plantera grants me 3 completely shit, useless items, entirely revamps the dungeon for that replayability, and drops the key to the Aztec Temple. By the way, the Destroyer was the final boss back when I played, so this is all very new to me, especially the spiky balls. And the spears. I genuinely never saw it coming.
Oh,
As it fucking should be. I didn't play this game for 40 hours so it could hold my hand and we could walk on sunshine. I'm here to conquer and fucking dominate. Unfortunately, when you fight the golem, you may be the one who gets conquered and dominated. But with wormhole potions that mysteriously disappeared from Henny's chests and friends that can actually dodge, I single-handedly slay the golem. Once again, Terraria's difficulty
Single-handedly, that's
spikes,
the main
and we're
thing.
faced with utter military superiority in the form of a UFO invasion that reminded us why we don't face our enemies head-on, but rather behind the lush comfort of easily abusable game mechanics. Admittedly, a cowardly strategy, but after dying 15 times, we felt it appropriate. And even 15 deaths is actually baby talk compared to the Frost Moon.
Yeah, everything's allowed in war. There is no such thing as cowardly. It's a strategy, right? You won. That's the I love UFO attack. Fuck it, why not?
which extensively acquainted us with the ruthless difficulty spike you must face after clearing a boss. The Terraria wiki told me that the Pumpkin Moon would be easier than the Frost Moon, but you have to remember, it's a malicious website with false information. I looked at the data, and the leading theory is that the Pumpkin Moon was likely developed in hell by Satan. It's a gruesome experience. Going through it makes me want to shake everyone's hands. Makes me want to cosplay PewDiePie playing PUBG. It's an absolutely carnal slaughter. I clearly wasn't equipped to deal with the situation, and here's what I did to change that. During the Martian Madness, I scooped up the coolest magic weapon in the game, the laser machine gun, which I trade for the cosmic car keys. After all, a magic gun will do me no good as the tank, but a spaceship just might. I then used 12 hallowed bars to craft Excalibur, 12 stingers and 12 jungle spores to make the blade of grass, Josh's chest to craft Muramasa, 20 hellstone bars to make the fiery greatsword, and 10 crimson bars to make the blood butcherer. I go to a crimson altar and combine the blade of grass, Muramasa, fiery greatsword, and blood butcherer to
I like he's playing this kind of a, somewhat like a montage type of, epic sound music in the background. Like somebody's just working to get stronger. I'll fucking make this, I'll make this, I'll make this sword.
make Night's Edge. I then farmed the Solar Eclipse and High's inventory for 2 broken hero swords, which are used to craft respectively the True Excalibur and True Night's Edge. I then go to an Orichalcum anvil and combine the finest blades of light and darkness to craft the Terra Blade, our long-range melee weapon. But I'm not done. The Titan Glove and Feral Claws make a Power Glove. Combine that with an Avenger emblem and we get the Mechanical Glove, which is forged together with a Magma Stone for the Fire Gauntlet. Any weapon we swing is now on fire, has 10% increased attack speed and damage, plus 80% more knockback. I craft the strongest pre-endgame tank armor in Terraria, the Beetle Shell Set. We also scoop up a Paladin Shield, which absorbs 25% of damage done to players on my team. I skip the Ankh Charm, cause I'm not gonna farm for 10 hours. And then combine a multitude of items to make the Master Ninja Gear for optimal movement and a 10% dodge chance. Combine the Sun and Moon Stones for the Celestial Stone. Defense, life regeneration, crit strike, damage and melee speed. Then I get lucky as shit with the Frozen Turtle Shell. A 1% drop chance from the tortoises in the ice biome. It significantly reduces damage taken when below 50% health. Along with wings, that fills out our 6 equipment slots. And of course,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, every time I play an RPG game like Kingdom of Amalur or anything, RPG style game where you basically craft different type of equipment, special abilities here and there, some gems here and there that you can craft, right? There's some, like only 0.4% chance to craft this kind of a legendary gear every time you craft it. Whenever there's elements like that, I always grind as fuck, right? Every single time to get the best equipment possible, combining million different things, just like how he's doing here. This is the best thing about any RPG game, right? I spend at least half of the game just developing the character, making equipment and shit.
we spend an unfathomable sum of gold to reroll all of them till we get +4 defense. And force our useless wizard/interior designer to be the healer. The final touch is the extremely fast short-range weapon I showed in the intro. With that, I'm finally complete.
There we go.
This is what I spent 40 minutes building up to. This is what I spent 50 hours of my life
He's
to
gonna
achieve.
die, isn't he?
I've been waiting for this my whole life. This is gameplay. Pure, primal gameplay. I'm not just having a good time here. I'm not just getting by. I'm fucking thriving. I'm not...
It's like Looney Tunes shit. I don't know. It was in the Looney Tunes, right? When 2-3 people fight and it's just fight cloud. That everybody just, you can only see hands. This feels like that. This is ridiculous. Look at
just
that.
having a good time here. I'm not just getting by. I'm fucking thriving. When I'm standing still in the middle of a boss, skanking, my brain is in a state of reverse depression. Just pure fucking pleasure. If you did an MRI, you'd find my central nervous system flooded with serotonin and dopamine. Every neuron fired up, and every synapse collapsing in on itself, as it fucking should be. I didn't go into Terraria for a mild kick. I came here for a melee tanking experience that would leave me terrified, traumatized, and entirely fucking brain damaged. And it's at this point that we use the truffle worm to fish, because face tanking bosses we've already defeated to optimize our gear is definitely solid. But fishing with a 666% bait power to summon Duke Fishron is a direct adherence to the meta.
Hello?
Yes, hello, is this my therapist?
What? No, why are you calling me?
Yeah, I would like to schedule an appointment. How does 3 times a week for the next 4 years sound to you?
Please stop calling me, Jonathan. I don't know what I've done to deserve this.
Absolutely, it's a guy called Duke Fishron. You see, he's really put me through it. I haven't felt like myself ever since the Sharknado.
You're making me really uncomfortable. Can you please stop contacting me?
That sounds good. What about Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 4 p.m.?
I'm not joking. I will get a restraining order.
Alright, I'll be in the office tomorrow. Hello? Alright, it's a date. With a successfully booked therapist appointment, I had the final prerequisite to take on the final event and the final boss. But before doing so, I decided to waste my time on something useless. I rinsed our homemade mushroom biome on about 20 separate occasions to have enough glowing mushrooms, which I combined with chlorophyte to make shroomite bars. With 18 of them and 20 souls of flight, I construct the hoverboard, and then immediately feel intense remorse, regret, and disdain when I realize I just spent literally hours to make an awful item which maneuvers significantly worse than the wings. I chuck it in the cosmetic slot, shed the victim mentality, and rise to the occasion, cause it's time for the final frontier. We kill some heretics outside the dungeon which summons a lunatic cultist. The wiki informs us that he's considered the penultimate boss of Terraria.
Oh, wait a minute, it was muted. So yeah, what I was saying was, didn't he check the wiki? Basically, like he's saying here that, is the horde board better than the wings or something before you put all the effort into it?
So it should come as no surprise that he was the easiest thing we've ever done in our lives, and none of us even came close to dying. A stark contrast to what came next. 4 celestial pillars manifest in our world, causing the vortex, stardust, nebula, and solar rifts to tear through space-time, leaving us at the mercy of an interdimensional alien invasion. In the words of the then famous, now infamous prophet, Christopher Wistifer, he said, "When in doubt, whip it out." Now you can complete the lunar events the intended way, or you can complete them without dying 30 times. Non-linear game design, it's your fucking choice. 10 out of 10. Slowly but surely, we use bullets to start defending ourselves into a crowd of illegal aliens. For each rift, at least 150 confirmed kills are required to make the pillars vulnerable. But we're not here to meet the bare minimum. We're here to keep this world in line. We gotta cleanse this place of evil. This is pest control. We gotta remove these animals. This is our home, Coral. We can go back to the way things were. We could have warm water, Coral. We spent years cleansing the corruption, Coral. We gotta keep this place pure. We gotta defend our home. So anyways, each of the pillars grant us solar, nebula, stardust, and vortex fragments, which can be used to craft various extremely powerful items within each respective class. And since in Terraria, the means of production is owned and controlled by the workers, I had to engage in communal resource distribution and share my solar fragments with Josh, who was also melee. That was a real gamer compromise. I used mine to craft the Solar Eruption, a sword with so much power and so much extension that I'm almost certainly overcompensating for something. But regardless of what it is that I'm lacking, this weapon more than makes up for it. So with a booked therapist appointment, banging gamer loot, and an unrelenting force of will, we challenge the god of this world. First, we fought an enormous eyeball with teeth, then a slime with a person suffocating inside of it, then a teleporting brain, then a bee who's really mad, then a crazy cursed skeleton, then a gruesome flesh wall, then 2 metal eyeballs with a laser cannon and a flamethrower, then an insane robotic skeleton with a cannon, a saw, and a spiky head, then a robot worm with rapid-fire lasers, then a flower, then a big orange robot, then a dragon pigfish, and finally, the ultimate challenge. A guy with eyes on his hands, who's genuinely a great ending to the game, an appropriately
Is that
excruciating final boss for an adequately difficult game, sprinkled with Lovecraftian cosmic horror, and if you read between the lines, just the right amount of vaccination. The Moonlord is nothing to scoff at. His aggro range is the entire world, for he is omnipresent. If he kills your friend near the ocean, he will teleport to where you just spawned and frag the nurse, as per the intended game design. The Moonlord will occasionally
Wait a minute, what?
vaccination. The Moonlord is nothing to scoff at. His aggro range is the entire world, for he is omnipresent. If he kills your friend near the ocean, he will teleport to where you just spawned and frag the nurse, as per the intended game design.
Damn,
the
okay.
Moonlord will occasionally fire a phantasmal death ray that will sweep across the entire screen. The strategy for beating him is to have one person in a spaceship dodge in circles until they're about to die, at which point a magic mirror is used to teleport back to the base. Come on, mirror! No! If the main tank exuded a massive blunder and had the mirror in his inventory rather than on a hotkey landing himself a solid minute-long respawn time, it would likely cause his party to wipe, meaning they'd have to
Did he just explain the fuck up that other guy did? Holy shit, so the whole boss is so OP that his laser rifle literally spans the whole screen. Like, how are you supposed to do that? And obviously it's gonna be touch kill, like as soon as the laser touches you kill. And I like how, basically like nobody in the developers thought like, okay, we're gonna create this this whole thing, right? Boss fight, basically the boss fight. And it's gonna be way too OP, then everybody's gonna just die. But they didn't panic about that because they know they created the RPG game with so many different equipment into it where you can teleport and shit. So they just thought like, okay, if somebody just wanna, fucking dodge this, just teleport, right? And just figure it out, I guess. This is so good.
restart the 15-minute long boss fight. A clear-cut case of it is what it is. This fight has too many goddamn variables. There's no way you don't fuck this up. And as a result, this ends up being a chaotic infinity war across the entire game world. If whoever had aggro fucked up, there's absolutely no mistaking if you're next. I think it's appropriate to say, alright, now we're in the end game. As we overcome the final boss, I'll provide my final verdict. I don't think it's unreasonable to claim that within its respective genres, Terraria is both experience-wise and on a technical level one of the best games in the world. It just does everything right. From the extensive customization to a super accessible crafting system, to the non-linear progression, to the perfect pacing of content and difficulty. I find it extremely hard to critique the game when it excels across the board. Base building, exploration, combat, sound design, immersion, replayability. These are words that send me into a manic frenzy, and I just might punch myself. I played this game 9 years ago by myself, and I'm so glad that I revisited it with friends after the developers followed through on their vision. I think it's a timeless visual masterpiece, and I'm not biased. This is objective information, in my opinion. So here we are, at the end of the road.
Look at that.
I originally intended to show you the final tier of equipment attainable only by farming Moonlord for hours. I thought it would have been a good little meme if I provided social commentary whilst completely cleansing our world of corruption, making it a utopia of pure pleasure. After which, I intended to use the drill containment unit, which would take a solid 10 hours to farm, to destroy every single block in the world. It would have pissed off my friends and been a neat little way of tying everything together. But instead, I decided to stay true to the structural analysis and provide an accurate reflection of my experience with the game rather than forcing content where there is none. Terraria is extremely fun. One of the most succulent games I've ever played. That is
This thing can destroy anything, all structures. That is just fucked up.
exclusively while you're progressing through the content. But as soon as you kill Moonlord, there's no next step. No new ore to farm and no new area to unlock. It goes from 100 to 0 real quick. I guess you could still build a house, but what's the point? Josh literally has an automated mob farm below his mansion. I'm lame-brained, maybe even impaired, so I can't possibly beat that. Plus the building gets pretty boring and stagnant when you don't have the exploration, bosses and other content to balance it.
Yeah, I'm also like that, right? I mean, once you beat everything and there's nothing more to do. I mean, sure, you could create settlements and build. What's the point of the game? Has nothing left, right? I don't put effort after that. But yeah, this was a long thing anyway. Like, you know, this was like a new game plus thing, which is not new game plus, right? It's like a journey still continuing type of thing before the literal last boss comes with the omniscient eye guy. So yeah, the game looks incredible, man.
It out. There's no greater challenge to warrant farming all the Moonlord items. And to be honest, we all completely lost interest in playing on the server once we'd beaten the game. So what happened is that I found an Arabic Nokia type beat, tweeted about it, and then Lo-Fi Lenny sent me his music. Through a series of events I don't legally have to explain, I ended up dropping a homosexual gangster rap, which is, in an unexpected plot twist, my final rating for the game. My name is Ben Lolo, I'm so homo. Suck a big cholo, make that dolo. You could work a 9 to 5, barely wanna stay alive. Every day, rise and grind, wasting all your fucking time. But I don't wanna do it like that. Fuck that, fuck rap. I don't wanna fuck women, I just wanna fuck trap. Suck ass, get a whole load of jizz on my abs. Cause I'm tired of this hate shit, straight shit, bait shit. I don't wanna date bitch shit so fake, I need a break. I just wanna feel alive and awake. Please God, one day, let me wake up gay. So I can cup the booty shots, pixie cut, bubble butt, suck a dick, no hands, romance in a trance with a trance, no pants. He's got a nice ass, I've got the finance. Made 100,000 selling trap porn on OnlyFans.
Yeah, don't stop making games, I guess. Don't be a rapper, it's not gonna work out. This is oh my god, this video was way too good. And this is one of his latest videos, I guess. You know, and it's also famous one, like 4.5 million fucking views compared to the other videos. I guess he's changing his style. If he's going to do videos like this, I mean, I'm all for it. This was ridiculously good. And yeah, Terraria, everything is just like he said, dopamine thing, right? Everything you do basically fuels you to do something next, right? If you build something, you're building something to basically get an edge. And then you're gonna go farm something just so you can get a certain equipment. Then you're gonna fight a boss because that boss dropped something that you want to fight another boss. It's just fucking ridiculous. I love it. Alright, well, that was Terraria 2D RPG pixel art. Seriously, a 2D pixel RPG game. This was ridiculously good. This combined the RPG game and boss fighting element into one fucking game. Like, there are certain people who just like to, you know, that movie cliche thing where somebody plays the game and they just bash buttons to win. Basically boss fights, right? Somebody added that and whole RPG open world exploration thing into one game, and there you go. This is Terraria. This was really great. There is no Terraria 2. This was from 2011. There was no other game. I guess this took so much effort. They're like, okay, we're gonna take a break now or something. Alright, well, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe, check the reaction, there's a link in the description, check the cards, everything cards, and yeah, I'll see you next time.